Ladies of Reddit, how did a guy ruin their chances with you? On our first date, he picked me up with his baby in the backseat and an open beer in the cup holder. What kinda Ricky Bobby shit is this? If you ain't first, you're last. Met a guy at a wing restaurant after I got off work. The majority of the time we were there, he talked about his ex-wife. After he finished eating, he asked if I wanted to get frozen custard or see a movie. I told him I'd rather watch a movie, dietary restrictions, and, since I didn't know the area well, I'd follow him to the theater in my own car. Instead of driving to the theater, he drove to the custard place. He didn't even mention the movie again. Just ordered himself a big custard. This actually made me laugh like what the duck. That's so weird. My theory? His first date with his ex-wife was to the same wing restaurant and she wanted to go to a movie. He caved, even though he really wanted custard. Now he's seeing what happens in the branching storyline. If he decides screw it, I want custard, he gets the same bad ending, but this one happens earlier in the storyline. He told me he was really strong, and if he wanted to, could probably beat me to death pretty easily, but never would, because he wouldn't hit a girl, because he's a nice guy. I could kill you, but I won't, because I winky face respect women. Murder. Edit. Thank you for the gold and silver. Glad I can make people laugh. He talked so much about himself I barely got any time to say anything, so it ended up with me just saying oh, yeah, cool and him not asking a single question about me. That guy really just took himself out on a date. Probably ducked himself that night. Happened to me once too. And anytime I was able to say something about myself, he had done that too, but better. That happened to me too, but it went a bit better. I went out once with someone who brought a pair of glasses to our first date and asked if I would wear them the entirety of our relationship. He already knew I didn't wear glasses, so he had gone ahead and put in fake lenses for me. When I asked why, he said it was because he always imagined himself marrying someone who wore glasses. Also, he told me that he found those glasses on the floor at the movie theater. Lucky me. So how's married life going? Are your floor glasses still going strong? She's seeing other people. Hindsight is truly 20/20. He told me if he wanted to, he could me. Then he asked me how I would respond. I said, by calling the cops on him. He said that would ruin my life and scar me forever. I have never noped out of a situation so fast in my life. How do people think this stuff is okay? What kind of answer was he expecting? This reminds me of the worst pickup line someone ever attempted on me. Roses are red, violets are blue. We are going to have sex, 'cause I'm stronger than you. Needless to say, tiny 15-year-old me noped the duck out to there real fast and told my boss he could finish the snow removal outside the bar door himself. Edit. I commented this below, but since people are asking, I wasn't working at the bar at 15. I was working in a separate hotel restaurant as a busser, and there was also a bar in said hotel. The management was the same for the whole place. Long story short, a hotel maintenance guy was out sick, a blizzard hit, and the one manager who couldn't tell his head from his ass was working that night. The restaurant was slow, so naturally he decided the barely 5 foot, 15-year-old female was the best person to shovel the entire corner of sidewalk outside the hotel. The guy who said what he did was some drunk guy in his 40s or 50s who stumbled out at the bar while I was shoveling that side of the walkway. Less a pickup line, more a threat, really. When he said it would be my fault if he killed himself, then spammed me with photos of himself with a rope around his neck. He was sitting down on the couch and just had the rope draped around his neck. I told him that I wasn't responsible for any decisions he made for himself and then blocked him. He attacked a pigeon. We were acquainted with each other through work, and it was the first date. We're in a park, walking along, talking, everything's normal up until then. Suddenly, one of the many pigeons walking around the fountain wandered near us. The guy stops what he's saying mid-sentence and takes a running kick at the pigeon. The pigeon's too fast for him and takes off, landing just a couple of feet away. The guy takes it personally and goes running after the pigeon, again, repeatedly trying to kick it. Finally, the pigeon ends the standoff by flying up to a tree. The guy takes off his shoe and throws it at the pigeon, who's now feeling confident in his tree. The shoe misses. So the guy picks up his shoe, puts it back on, and starts walking back to me, sulking and swearing under his breath as he half-heartedly kicks at any pigeon near him. All of this happened in a matter of minutes. When he first kicked at the pigeon, I said something like, "Leave him alone. What are you doing?" But after the full-on pigeon brawl, I was just in shock. When he came back to me, he was panting, wiping sweat from his forehead, but acted like nothing had happened. He started talking about where we should have lunch. I finally said, "What the f was that?" He looked at me like he was really confused. "What? The thing with the pigeon?" He just shrugged. I don't like pigeons. Edit. Just to answer a couple of questions. No, I never found out why the pigeon hate. He didn't really see that his behavior was that out of the ordinary, and at the office he seemed very normal. At most, he was a little hyper now and then, but that's about it. He had just turned 32. We had had a party for him in the office a couple of weeks before this. Last I heard, and this was a few years ago, he was living in Michigan. All you Michigan pigeons, beware. I saw the Friends episode a few years after this happened, and I'd forever relate to Phoebe because of it. He stood outside the window of my dorm room at 3 AM yelling and doing karate moves on the dumpster. So yeah. Dude fought a dumpster for me. He attempted to slay the mightiest beast he could find in order to display his prowess and impress you. How romantic. It was really noisy, and no one was happy about it. A bunch of girls wound up getting a restraining order to keep away from our dorm. He was really creepy. I feel like this is necessary info because he kinda sounded like a funny guy at first. It was my first date. I was 17. He was 18 over 19 just out of high school. We met at a movie in the afternoon. We said hi. He paid for the movie. We sit down with a drink. As soon as the movie starts he moves really close, his arm around me, then proceeds to grope my breast on the outside of my shirt. Like, WTF. Then I tell him to stop. He does, for 5 seconds. This pattern continues for several minutes. Then he tries to reach into my shirt. I grab his hand and again say stop. Then I got up and left. My biggest regret is not smacking him in the face before I left. My friend who set us up asked me how the date went. When I told her what he did she acted like I was taking things out of context. I never spoke to her after that. Edit first, I didn't expect to gain traction at all. My story is sadly not unique. Thank you all for the hilarious comments and the upvotes. For more elaboration on the friend, he said I took an accidental boob graze out of context. Like, I somehow thought him reaching across to get something was him trying to grab me. I explained that no, he did grab me. His hand was squeezing my breasts, and he was trying to get into my shirt, and I told him to stop. She just couldn't or wouldn't believe it. She insisted he was a great guy who had never done that, and would never, and she never heard of him doing it. It's been 12 years since this conversation happened, so I don't remember her exact words. Yeah, yikes, that guy's gross and your ex-friend sucks. Glad you dodged 2 bullets. Honestly, how do you take a boob grab during the credits out of context? What an ashat. He was a friend of a friend. First thing he says when he meets me is I know this will make you uncomfortable, but you have the best ducking tits out there. This was before a hello or anything. Just straight to the point. You have the best ducking tits out there. Thanks, yours are very nice too. I imagined this said by 2 very efficient lesbians. Edit. First gold and silver. Thank you, oh kind and mystical strangers. Germans. He thought that being witty requires making fun of every person in his life. On a date at a restaurant, and a heavy woman walks by our table. He snorts and says sort of under his breath, "Ducking pig." Date over. I don't understand putting down other people to try to impress me. This is why I hate leaving the house. I know that when people see me, they instantly think lazy, incompetent, glutton. I know it because I've heard it enough times from assholes exactly like that. They don't know that I jog a half hour every night, even sometimes in 20-degree weather. They don't know that I eat within a 4-hour window. They don't know I'm battling against severe PCOS, the effects of lifelong weight cycling, and an eating disorder. They just see lazy, incompetent glutton. Hell, I've had people give me shit while I was out jogging. Doesn't do wonders for the self-esteem. Edit. Thanks for the kind words and support and the